John chapter 5 and verse 39. Give praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. John 5 and 39. It says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. So we'll look at something from Romans chapter 1, verse 20 from last night. Let's swing on around here, man. Romans 1 and 20. So I'll make it 18. Make it 16. It says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Mashiach, for it is the power of Elohim unto salvation to everyone that believes, to the Yahudim first and also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of Elohim revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. For the wrath of Elohim is revealed from Shamahim against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of Elohim is manifest in them, for Elohim have showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his external power and Elohim head, so they are without excuse. He say the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. So I want you to look at Romans 16 and 22 when it comes to that. So he say the invisible things are seen by the things that were made. 16 and 25, actually. It says, not to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel, and the preaching of Yahushua HaMashiach according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting Elohim, made known to all nations for the obedience of faith. To Elohim only wise, be esteemed through Yahushua HaMashiach forever, so be it. So, when we look at what he just stated here in Romans chapter 1, about the invisible things of creation are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his external power or his outward power, that the Elohim head could be seen, that people are without excuse. The first thing we're going to look at is Amos 3 and about 1, before we go to Genesis. Hear this word that Yahuwah have spoken against you, O children of Yasharal, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Mizraim, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Will a lion roar in the forest when he have no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he have taken nothing? Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no gin is formed? And shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Surely shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid. Shall there be evil in the city, and Yahuwah have not done it? Surely Yahuwah Elohim will do nothing, but he revealed his secret unto his servants the prophets. The lion hath roared, who will not fear? Yahuwah Elohim hath spoken, who can but prophesy? So he stated first and foremost that he would surely do nothing until he revealed his secrets to his servants, the prophets. Now, we had started looking at something last night when it comes to this, what we finna swing to in Genesis. But the thing that he said is I will punish you for all your iniquities. He say two can't walk together except they be agreed. There's no way that you can walk with Yah and you don't be agreed with him, and there's no way that he can walk with you unless he be agreed with you. That's why Mashiach said, I and my Father are one, because they meet in agreement. But let's go back to Genesis 37 and let's look at something. So look at Genesis 37, 7. We'll make it 5. Genesis 37 and 5. Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and he told it his brethren, and he said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. Behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Now he's referencing these luminaries, and he say the things that are invisible are made manifest by the things that are seen. Now, you know, when we talking about things being invisible, as we gonna sit back and you look in John and say Elohim is a Ruach, and those that worship him must worship him in Ruach and in truth. Since I said that, look at John, what did 14? We good in Genesis 37. Just something that the Mashiach said. If it ain't 14, then it's the 3rd chapter. It's John the 3rd chapter. That's what I want. That might have been John 14 then. It's coming in my head what it said, but that's not the place. It's John chapter 5. John chapter 5 and about verse 36. John 5 and 36. He said, But I have greater witness than that of John, for the works which the Father hath given me to finish, the same works that I do, bear witness of me that the Father hath sent me. And the Father himself which hath sent me hath borne witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape. And you have not his word abiding in you, for whom he sent him you believe not. So he say, the works that my Father do, they bear witness of me. You never seen his shape, nor heard his voice. So like we've been mentioning and talking about, when you look up at the luminaries in the sky, they bear witness of Hamashiach. You know what I'm talking about? They bear witness of him. That's why he sit back and say, you ain't heard the Father speak nor seen his shape. But he say, but when you sat back and looked at them skies, they bear witness of me. And we're going to look at that more in depth. We're going to look at Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. And again, see something about these sun, moons, and stars. Revelation 12 and about verse 1. He said, There appeared a great wonder in Shamahim, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in Shamahim. And behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. Upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of Shamahim and did cast them to the Arats. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. So now we sit back and look at something as we try to get a little bit of understanding when it comes to this right here. We look at it, this tail. You know who this red dragon is, right? Huh? That's Satan. You know what I'm saying? You see in that 3rd part, when you hear him say, oh, he took a 3rd of the angels down with him, that's where they get that from. You know what I'm saying? Drawing a 3rd part of the stars with him. But he say he's seen a great wonder, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon. Now, what do you think this could mean about being clothed with the sun and the moon? Mm-hmm. Remember, he set the sun and the moon, right? A greater light and a lesser light, right? And we looked at last night, for all intents and purposes, that the sun and the moon in some instances can be referring to Hamashiach and the Father, and it can be referring to Yasharal and Hamashiach. So when he sit back and say this woman is clothed with the sun and the moon, who would be this woman in this instance who's giving birth to this man child who got this crown of 12 stars on her head? Who would be this woman in this instance? Huh? You could look at Mary in this one instance. You could look at it two ways. That could sit back, you could look at it as that'd be the land. So remember let's look at this Revelation 12. Let's look at what Galatians said. So we're going to look at it two different ways. Can actually look at it three different ways. So let's look at Galatians 4 and about 24. He said, well, which things are an allegory, for these are the two covenants, the one from the Mount Sinai, which gendered the bondage, which is Agar, and for this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, in answer to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children, for Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is mother of us all. Remember, he's seen a wonder in Shamahim, and this woman was clothed with the sun and the moon. You know what I'm saying? The reason why he said back and you mentioned that is because it says she was pained to be delivered to give birth to a man child. So let's look at John chapter 16, about verse 26, where son Hamashiach about to state. Because remember, he said the things that are seen, the things that are visible make manifest the things that are seen, that everybody is without no excuse. Let me see, 16, and matter of fact, make it 16 and 20. He say, verily, verily, I say unto you that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. You shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. Which we know that line right up with Psalms 30, you know, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. A woman, when she is in travail, have sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remember no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. And ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man take from you. And in that day ye shall ask me nothing. Truly, truly, I say unto you, whatsoever you shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Hitherto have you asked nothing in my name. Ask and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs, but the time come when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you plainly of the Father. Now remember, he say the things that are invisible make the things that are manifest plain, because he's sitting back that there's no excuse. So now we can come back now and we can look up in the skies and in the luminaries, and we can actually see the works of the Father, where it's no longer a dark saying that we don't understand what these things mean. You know what I'm saying? Because if the woman is clothed with the sun and the moon, then we need to look at Yeshayahu, Isaiah 54 and 13, and let's see why this woman is clothed with the sun and the moon. Then we come right back around and get John chapter 6 and see that again. Why is this woman clothed with the sun and the moon? Why is she clothed with both lights? Then we get Revelation 21 and 24 to go along with that. I'm going to go ahead and look at about verse 5. Isaiah 54 and 5. For thy maker is thy husband, Yahuwah of hosts is his name, thy redeemer, the Kadesh one of Yasharal, the Elohim of the whole Arat shall he be called. For Yahuwah have called thee as a woman forsaken, grieved in Ruach, and a wife of youth, when thou was refused, saith the Elohim. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. And a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith Yahuwah thy Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should go no more over their rats, so have I sworn that I should not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountain shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my shalom be removed, saith Yahuwah that have mercy on thee. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphires. And I'll make thy windows of agates, and thy gates carbuncles, and of all thy pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of Yahuwah, and great shall be the shalom of thy children. So like he said, now he say the things that are in Shamahim bear witness to the invisible things that are not being made manifest, because Hamashiach was not made manifest. So that which was invisible had not been shown. But once that which is invisible had been made shown, all are without excuse. You know what I'm saying? It stops everybody's mouth before the throne of Elohim that no man could be able to speak. And so you sit back and look at it, as we know the things in Shamahim can teach us about what the will of the Most High is. So when we come back to John chapter 6 and about verse 32. Make it 6 and 43. Yahushua therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets that they shall all be taught of Elohim. Every man therefore that have heard and have learned of the Father, come unto me. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of Elohim. He hath seen the Father. Truly, truly I say unto you, that he that believe on me have everlasting life. Now, this dragon is seeking to devour the man-child. He's saying the only way you can come to the Father is you got to learn of him. Now, to be able to learn of Mashiach would leave you with no excuse. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at the things in Shamahim, it's going to show us that we'll have no excuse, because these things are evident, these things are clear. Now, when we look at the dragon seeking to devour the woman in her seed, you know, first thing we're going to look at is Mary, because that would be a proper representation. So let's go to Matthew chapter 2. A second. Matthew 2, about verse 1. It says, now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Yehudah, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born king of the Yahudim? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. Now, if they seen his star in the east, what star did they see? They say we seen his star in the east, what star did they see? We still good looking at Revelation 21 and 24. We're going to get round up to it. But if they seen his star in the east, what star did they see? Huh? If they see his star, there's only two stars that's in the sky. The literal smaller stars and the sun, because the sun is a star. Hold this right here, get Revelation 22 and 16 so you can see that. And we come right back to Matthew. And you know the sun rises in the east. It says, I, Yahushua, have sent my Malachim to testify unto you these things in the synagogues. I am the root and offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. So for them to sit back and see his star, they seen the sun. This is what caused them to come to Jerusalem, knowing that his birth was on the wise. Come on back to Matthew chapter 2. Because it said they seen his star. Verse 2, saying, where is he that is born a king of the Yahudim? We have seen a star in the east and are come to worship him. Where Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Mashiach should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Yehudah. For thus it is written by the prophet, thou Bethlehem in the land of Yehudah are now the least among the princes of Yehudah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Yasharah. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently of what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when you shall find him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. And when they heard the king, they departed. Lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. So then if we also looking at the star that they seen, you know who also, and another aspect of that, of what they seen? Well, let's look at Job 38, about verse 7 real fast. See another aspect of what they seen. Make it Job 38 and 4. Make it 38 and 3. Job 38 and 3. It say, gird up now thy loins like a man, and I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the arras? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who have laid the measures thereof, if thou know, and who have stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who have laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of Elohim shouted for joy. So when we turn around and look at another aspect, looking at that star, what they seen is a Malachim directed them over to directly where Hamashiach is. So again, you seeing a luminary sitting back showing something to man. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's something in this here that I'm finna read too, man, because it's standing out to me. And I think we done looked at this stuff before. He say, or who have shut up the sea with doors when it break forth, as if it had issued out of the womb. And when I made the cloud a garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it. Now, looking at that word swaddling band, it's a word called Cthulhu, and it means a swaddling band or a naval band. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's hold this right here and look at it. Well, not to Job. We'll come back to Job in a minute. But look at something in Ezekiel chapter 16. It's all right, Lizzie. Because he said he made the cloud a garment thereof, and the thick darkness a swaddling band. So when we look at the moon sitting up in darkness and sitting back looking at that, it's a swaddling band. Because I'm working towards something on this. Because it said this woman was delivered of a man-child, and he sought to kill the man-child, and the man-child was taken up to the throne. Come here, Lizzie. 16 and 2, or 3 of Ezekiel. And say, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim unto Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. And as for thy nativity, in the day that thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pity thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou was cast into an open field, cast out in the open field, to the loathing of thy person, and the day that thou wert born. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thy own blood, I said unto thee, when thou was in thy blood, live. Yea, I said unto thee, when thou was in thy blood, live. Now he just sat back and said, when he saw you, nobody had the desire to swaddle you at all, but they cast you into an open field. You know what I'm saying? Now remember, it's talking about that the woman was delivered of a man-child, and they sought to devour the man-child. Now we looking at it the aspect that when he was born out of Mary, they sought to devour him. Hold on one second, y'all.
Line is now off hold.
Okay, they hung up. So you're looking at that Herod sought to devour the man child. Obviously, he was moved by Hashatan to do it. You know what I'm saying? But now let's look at it in another aspect in the same pattern. And let's look at John chapter 13. Because remember, he said the thick darkness was the swaddling or the navel band. Say nobody sought the desire to do this unto you. He said, but when I saw you polluted in your blood, I decided to tell you to live, or to swaddle you in this instance. John chapter 13, verse 22. Well, verse 21. When Yahushua had thus said, he was troubled in Ruach and testified and said, verily, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. Then the disciples looked on one on another, doubting of whom he spake. Now there was leaning on Yahushua's bosom one of his disciples, whom Yahushua loved. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him that he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. He then, laying on Yahushua's breast, saith unto him, Master, who is it? Yahushua answered, it is to whom I shall give sop, when I have dipped it. And when he dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Yahushua, that thou do quickly. No man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. For some of them thought because Judas had the bag that Yahushua had said unto him, buy those things that we have need against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. He then received the sop, went in immediately out, and it was night. So now we sitting back looking at Satan entered into Judas. And now what does Judas ended up doing? Judas ends up getting a whole gang of people. You can see if Satan is in Judas, then Satan will be representative of that great dragon. You know what I'm saying? Judas will be representative of that great dragon. And what does he ended up going to get? A amount of the people, the chief priests, the scribes, all of these people to do what? To come kill the man-child. You know what I'm saying? Now we know in the end they end up taking down the man-child, or so it seemed. Because remember, he was overcame, but he overcame him at the last. He told him to be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. You know what I'm saying? He said, who is he that is born of Elohim? But yet he that believed that Yahushua is the son of Elohim. He said, this is our victory, even our faith. You know what I'm saying? So even to sit back at these sitting down, they trying to take down the man-child and devour him. So let's look at something we in John. So we just going to swing to the 19th chapter where it's at. The 19th chapter, 38th verse. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Yahushua, but secretly for the fear of the Yahudim, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Yahushua. And Pilate gave him leave, and he came therefore and took the body of Yahushua. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Yahushua by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pound weight. Then took they the body of Yahushua and wound it in linen clothes with the spices, as the manner of the Yahudim is to bury it. So he's sitting back looking at it. They put him in swaddling clothes. You gotta remember, they just cast him out into an open field. He was laying in his blood. Say, no man had pity and compassion on ye to do any of these things. He said, now in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden, and the garden a new sepulchre, wherein never man was yet laid. There laid they Yahushua, therefore, because of the Yahudim preparation day, for the sepulchre was nigh at hand. Now we know when they come to a Mashiach, what? They come out, he say, he seen it in the blood live. They came to the grave, he was gone, right? They also seen the linen clothes laying to the side of what he had swaddled to them. Because he say, nobody had compassion on thee to cut your neighbor. You know what I'm talking about? You got to sit back and look at it. He say that's the clouds of the thick darkness was your swaddling. You know what I'm saying? So death is what he enveloped him in, or he swaddled him in. Even when we see him up there on that cloud. You know what I'm saying? That cloud encompassing him when he's on the stake. That's his swaddling clothes. Because when these people came under get him, this is the dragon. and the third of the stars, or the thirds of the sons are the Most High. At least they supposed to be, because you know, look at John chapter 8 and look at what Mashiach told the scribes and Pharisees when they came to him. John 8:47. He said, he that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim. Then answered the Yahudim and said unto him, say we not well that thou art a Samaritan and hast a devil? Yahushua answered, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. I seek not my own esteem. There's one that seek and judge. And you sit back and you look at it, right? We just read last night. There's one esteem of the sun. There's one esteem of the moon. There's one esteem of the stars. Neither one of them seek their own esteem. They all do the things congruent to what they do for their work. None of them seek any glory. None of them seek any power. They don't seek no reputation. The sun don't seek no reputation. The moon don't seek no reputation. The stars don't seek no reputation. He say, truly, truly, I say unto you, if a man keep my saying, he shall never see death. Then said the Yahudim unto him, now we know that thou hast a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets. Thou say, if a man keep my saying, he shall never taste death. Art thou greater than our father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets are dead? Whom make thou thyself? Yahushua answered, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honor me, of whom you say that he is your Elohim. Them stars that got brought down, you sit back and say, he say the devils know it's one, he say the demons know it's one Elohim, and they do tremble. You know what I'm talking about? Because if they were stars, they supposed to have been the sons of Elohim, or they stars. But instead they ended up not being any of those stars. You know what I'm talking about? And they would sit back and say that y'all were supposed to be their Elohim. Well, them same chief priests and scribes sitting back saying y'all was their Elohim, but yet they turned back around and tried to kill the man-child and tried to devour him to stop him from sitting on his throne, because that's Satan's whole objective. So when we see this woman covered with the sun and the moon, we actually seeing this woman, or Jerusalem, or even Yasharah being covered with the Father and the Son, because the Father and the Son are one. You know what I'm saying? I want you to come over here and look at come back to Revelation chapter 12. Hello? Hello?
Hey, shalom.
Shalom.
All right.
All right. Revelation 12:1 again. There appeared a great wonder in Shamahim, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. She, being with child, cried, and travailing in birth pain to be delivered. There appeared another wonder in Shamahim. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns in his heads, and his tail drew down the 3rd part of Shamahim, did cast him to the earth. The dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour a child as soon as it was born. She brought forth a man-child which would rule the nations with a rod of iron, and the child was caught up under Elohim in the throne. So now we have to sit back and actually look and see if we can see in Shamahim this woman giving birth. So let's look in Genesis chapter 1. So let's look at 1 and 14. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of Shamahim to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So we're going to take our time, right? Because it say the things that were made. I don't want to quote the man wrong. So let me open this one up. So this is what we're looking at. This man said, clear as day, the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. So that means the whole plan, because remember he say the secret things belong unto you, Elohim, the things that are revealed are contained in this law for us and our children, right? He say, truly y'all won't do nothing till he reveal his secret to his servants, the prophets. So he's sitting here telling you the things that you cannot see, meaning you could not see Hamashiach. He had not yet been revealed until the time appointed. You know what I'm saying? And we could get 1 Peter chapter 1. You just get it. We ain't got to read it at that moment. But just go on and swing over here and get 1 Peter chapter 1 about verse 9. Just set you a place on that 1 Peter 1 and 9. This man say the invisible things which were not seen were made manifest by the things in creation that are seen. That everybody is not without any excuse. So that means if you look up at the things of the creation, the things that are seen, that means you should see the salvation of Yahuwah. And if you see that, then you have no reason whatsoever not to believe the testimony of the Son of the living Elohim. You know what I'm saying? And that means you ought to perish, because now you have called Elohim a liar of the testimony that he left of his son. So I'm just mentioning this here too, because we're going to look at something in the law that go along with this, because he called Shamahim and Arats against the people. So that means that they were looking at Shamahim, not just sitting back looking up on high, but the things that are on high bear witness to the things that would be manifested on the earth. Therefore, you would be without any excuse. Therefore, you would perish. So, he say, let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Now let's look at Leviticus chapter 23. Hold your Genesis 1 and keep 1 Peter chapter 1 on that. Now let's look at Leviticus 23 and 1. Leviticus 23 and 1. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them concerning the feasts of Yahuwah, which you shall proclaim to be Kadesh convocations. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of rest, a Kadesh convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is a Shabbat of Yahuwah in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of Yahuwah, even Kadesh convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. So remember, he say set them for signs and for seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahuwah's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahuwah. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. And in the first day you shall have a Kadesh convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. Now he said these things that he set up today are for signs and for seasons. You know what I'm saying? Now let's look at Ezekiel chapter 12. Ezekiel chapter 12, verse 7. Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 7. And I did so as I was commanded. I brought forth my stuff by day as stuff for captivity, and in the even I digged through the wall with my hand, and I brought it forth in the twilight and bare it upon my shoulder in their sight. In the morning came the word of Yahuwah unto me, saying, Son of man, has not that the house of Yasharal, the rebellious house, said unto thee, what do thou? Say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, this burden concerning the prince in Jerusalem and all the house of Yasharal that are among them. Say, I am your sign. Like as I have done, so shall it be done unto them. They shall remove and go into captivity. And the prince that is among them shall bear upon his shoulder in the twilight and shall go forth. They shall dig through the wall to carry out thereby. He shall cover his face. He shall not see the ground with his eyes. So he say the sign is him bearing this state upon his shoulder, right? Now let's look at Luke chapter 22 or 23 and let's see if we see that. Because we already know what the Mashiach told us to do. He say, take up your stake and follow me. Luke 22 and 20. Luke 22 and 20. 23 and 20, I'm sorry. Luke 23 and 20. Pilate therefore willing to release Yahushua spake again to them. But they cried, saying, crucify him, crucify him. He said unto them the third time, why? What evil have he done? I found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. And they were instant with loud voices requiring that he might be crucified, and the voices of them above the chief priests prevailed. And Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. And he released unto them him for sedation and murder was cast into prison, whom they desired. But he delivered Yahushua to their will. And as they led him away, they laid hold upon him one Simon Cyrene coming out of the country, and on him they laid the stake that he might bear it after Yahushua. So again, that's your sign. We know what Paul say, Yahudim seek after signs. That's what we seek after. You know what I'm saying? Now he said the things in Shamahim, they are for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So if we sit back and we look at the stars, we could be able to ascertain something in this, or look at the sun, moon, and stars in this instance. We can sit back and see that they would be lining up to Passover. And if they would be lining up to Passover, then you would be without excuse, because you would know that he sent a blameless sacrifice for you, to birth you, to make you the sons of the living Elohim. So this is the next thing we're going to look at. Come over here to Romans chapter 15 real fast. Let me see what this Romans 15 says. 15 and about 14. He said, I myself also am persuaded of you, my brethren, that ye also are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge, and able to admonish one another. Nevertheless, brethren, I have written the more boldly unto you in some sort, as putting you in mind because of the grace that is given to me of Elohim, that I should be the minister of Yahushua HaMashiach to the Gentiles, ministering of the gospel of Elohim, that the offering up of the Gentiles might be acceptable, being sanctified by the Ruach HaKodesh. You don't sit back and you realize, now he referring to the Gentiles. That sun, moon, and stars that's set up in the Shamahim, let's see what sanctified them and put them apart. Let's come back to Genesis chapter 1, and let's just see what sanctified them and set them apart. Genesis 1 and 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the Shamahim and Arats. And the Arats was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Ruach of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. And Elohim saw the light that it was good. And Elohim divided the light from the darkness. And the Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So we see the thing that established all of this was the Ruach Elohim, right? So when we look back down in Genesis 14 and 1 and 14, and he say, let the firmaments, the lights and the firmaments of Shamahim to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, then we turn around and see it's the Ruach HaKodesh which sanctified up this offering. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to sit back and see how this is an offering. But it's the Ruach that sanctified the sun, the moon, and the star, or this offering, or this sacrifice which he is producing, which is bearing witness to the things that are invisible, which would eventually become visible. Come back to Romans 15. We in verse 17. I have therefore whereof I may esteem through Yahushua HaMashiach and those things which pertain to Elohim. For I will not dare speak of any of those things which Mashiach have not wrought by me, to make the Gentiles obedient by deed and word, through many signs and wonders by the power of the Ruach of Elohim, so that from Jerusalem and round about unto Icarium I have fully preached the gospel of Mashiach. Yea, so I have strived to preach the gospel, not where Mashiach was named, lest I should build upon other man's foundation. But as it is written, to whom he was not spoken of, they shall see, and they that have not heard shall understand. So let's look at Isaiah 65 and 1, where he get this from. Let's look at Isaiah 65 and 1, where he get this from. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. Behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name. You know what I'm saying? Now you sit back and look at it. When these people sit back and they look at these same luminaries that we looking at, it's bearing witness to them. Because they say the heathen are dismayed by the signs of Shamahim. They seeking after me. I didn't call them. They're not called by my name. But many signs and wonders is what's bringing them in. So when we look at the adversary sitting back there devouring the man-child, but the man-child get caught up in his throne, you see that the man-child was birthed through Jerusalem, which is the mother of us all. You know what I'm saying? And we see him, we already talked about last week, when he get caught up in that cloud, going back up into Shamahim. And guess where he's going? Sitting right back to the right hand of the Father, meaning he the lesser light to the greater light, with the stars with them. So the things that were invisible now are made visible. Hold on. Where did that just come from? Oh, this nigga here crazy. And then it's just something we talking about, some travel agent. My brother, man. Send me a message. I ain't thinking about going nowhere right now. I ain't mad at it. I ain't thinking about going nowhere right now. Let's come on back to Genesis chapter 1. It's the last thing on my mind. So when we look at verse 14 again, Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of Shamahim to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So we've already sit back and look at, we can see these things being for signs. That Hamashiach carrying that stake is a sign. You know what I'm saying? We seeing that season being Passover, being that season. Days, what? 14th day of the first month when they took him. Years, because we sitting back looking at something, it'll show you the years. We don't got to, you know, Mashiach preached for about 3 years, right? Started at about age 30, went for about 3 years, and we know from Daniel, let's get Daniel 7 and 25 though. Not saying 7 and 25, 9 and 25. Daniel 9 and 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto Mashiach the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again in the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week shall he cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. For the overspreading of the abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and the determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So he say in the middle of the week, he'll confirm this covenant. So these are for days and for years. Now we know when you can sit back and look at in the middle of the week, look at the time or the 3.5 years he preached, but then also in the middle of the feast. He'll confirm this covenant or this sign. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 1 I want before we come back to Genesis chapter 1. First Corinthians 1 and 18. I mean 1 Corinthians 1 and 18, I'm sorry. So Genesis, 1 Corinthians 1 and 18. For the preaching of the stake is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of Elohim. Now looking at these signs that he put in there, they showing us the power of Elohim now. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? And where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Have not Elohim made foolish the wisdom of this world? But after that, in the wisdom of Elohim, the world by wisdom knew not Elohim. It pleased Elohim by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. Regardless if we know it, he say the things that are creation were made to make the invisible things manifest, that nobody would be without any excuse. You know what I'm saying? So you sit back and look at the sun, moon, and stars are preaching. You know what I'm saying? The Shamahim is preaching. Everything that's up there, the firmament, the clouds, all that stuff is preaching. You know what I'm saying? And he sat back and looked at it. I can save you by this foolishness of preaching, because these things are preaching unto you my eternal salvation and gospel of my son Yahushua HaMashiach right to your face. You know what I'm saying? We already read that first part of it, how the things of creation make manifest that you without excuse, because the earth was without form and darkness. You know what I'm saying? You were not formed in the belly. You were not formed in the womb. You were within darkness. That's why he said the people that sat in darkness seen a great light. He said, let there be light, that you could have form, that you could be conformed to the image of the son of Elohim, that Paul stated like in Romans chapter 8. Probably about verse 30 or 31, son of that nature. So then you would be without excuse then every time you see light manifest. All right, then listen. He say, for the Yahudim require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Mashiach crucified unto the Yahudim a stumbling block, and unto the Greek foolishness. But unto them which are called, both Yahudim and Greeks, Mashiach the power of Elohim and the wisdom of Elohim. The reason why we sit back and say the wisdom of Elohim, now let's look in Proverbs chapter 8, since he say this is the wisdom of Elohim. Look at verse 1 before we drop all the way down to 22. Doth not wisdom cry and understanding put forth her voice? So now we looking at it, he said that the wisdom of Elohim is forth as these things are doing the preaching. That this is what he sit back and do it now. Let's look at verse 22. Yahuwah possessed me in the beginning of his way before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning or ever the Eratz was. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as he yet had not made the Eratz, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the Shamahim, I was there. And when he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree, and the water should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth. Then was I by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him. So now we turn around and we sit back and look at, this is the wisdom or the kokma, the ability to war of Elohim with these things that's in the Shamahim. We sit back and realize we able to war by the sun. How so? Let's look at Romans chapter 8 here. It's all right, little buddy. Romans 8 and 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Yahushua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. For the law of the Ruach of life and Yahushua HaMashiach have made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, and that it was weak through the flesh, Elohim sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us